Well, hi, Shelby.
Welcome
Welcome back, friends.
It feels good.
Right? It might not seem like it to you guys, but it's felt like a long time for
Yes.
us. It's been a couple weeks since we've been able to get together and talk. And let me just warn you that we've got a lot of books ready to talk about. So I hope that you guys are already getting into your summer TBR because we definitely have been.
Oh, I'm so excited. I am so pumped. And you know what? I have been reading such good books recently.
Right?
I'm so pumped.
Everyone I'm talking to in our book club has been saying the same thing, that there were book slumps early, like reading slumps early in the year.
Yep.
And now everyone's finally finding good ones and coming out of it. And I gotta say, this book was a book that got me out of a book slump.
Me too, girl.
Tell me what we're reading today.
You guys, we're finally talking about Quicksilver by Callie Hart.
This book's amazing. And we've just gotta say, thank you, Callie.
Thank you, Callie. Oh my gosh.
She was so sweet and sent our whole book club, if you're watching on our video, signed ARC copies of this book. And I think this has been one of the most favorite books that we have talked about in our book club. She sent us art cards to go with it, these cute little packages for all of our friends in book club, and everybody loved this book.
Everybody. I mean, okay, from our book club though, like, what did we have? 11, 12 people that put it in there to read.
I know.
So this is where this all stems from. So we had our book club all draw
December 2024.
December 2024. How was it that long ago? Oh
I
my
know, isn't that
gosh.
crazy?
But what we like to do in our book club is you put like the book that you want to read for next month into a little hat or a bucket or whatever. And you draw it and you say, we are not reading this book. And the book that's left at the end is the book that you're reading. Well, we had 11 or 12 girls.
We had even more than that. I think it was 18 girls on that one. It was a lot of girls.
But we had 11 or 12 that actually put Quicksilver in there.
Yes, I know.
It was so many. There were so many for Quicksilver. And so Callie Hart saw it and messaged us. And we were able to, she sent our entire book club for December these copies, and I just, oh my god, we are so appreciative. Thank you.
The coolest thing ever. Absolutely love it. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Callie.
Oh, and I'm so pumped. And you know what? It was so highly anticipated, but this was one of the best books I've read in the last year.
It held up. That's the thing. So it's so funny because the first time I read it, I've read it twice now.
Same.
The first time I read it was in September 2024.
Yes.
So I was excited when other people picked it because I had already really liked it. But to have it, I don't know. It was just one of those ones that you hear about on Book Talk or you hear about elsewhere and everybody talks so highly and you're like, I don't know. But it totally lived up to the hype. 100%. It's one of very few books that I feel like really lives up to the hype of the promise that people give it
100%.
For your expectations.
Yep. Yeah. I feel the exact same way because you had mentioned, you're like, I think you would really enjoy this book. And so I actually listened to it before we even got them from Callie. Oh my god, you guys.
I knew you'd love Kingfisher. Tell me he isn't in your top 10 book boyfriends.
Girl, Kingfisher is my number 1 book boyfriend.
Yes, bitch, I love that.
Number 1.
I love that.
And if you guys follow us on TikTok, I've put a couple of audios out.
Woo! Let me say, I read it the first time and I listened and read the second time. And now I understand why everybody says that Quicksilver is something that you should listen to. Holy fucking shit.
I'm about to introduce you into all 7 gods. Tell them who you worship on your knees. Ma'am, I'm working.
Well, okay, so with all of that preface,
yes.
I guess I should know, what did you rate Quicksilver?
Infinity.
Yeah, it's another.
Yep, it's another infinity.
There aren't that many infinity stars from you.
No, there's not. This was... Oh, as you were kind of saying, there are a lot of books that are hey, it's going to live up to the hype. It's going to. But I don't always vibe with that. And so in Quicksilver, there's a ton of tropes, but I loved it.
It wasn't overdone though. It didn't feel tropey.
Yes.
At all.
And it was unique.
It did feel unique, which I think is really hard for me. Like, you know, I've been reading fantasy romance for a few
100%.
years. At this point, have probably read
Everything.
a couple hundred fantasy romance books. So it is kind of hard to feel unique, but like this genuinely felt like a unique story.
Yeah.
And like Saris as a main character, I loved.
Love.
Kingfisher as a love interest, I loved.
Yes.
Like just really the world, loved. It was such a perfect balance of actually having world building so that there's
For
like
sure.
an interesting storyline that you're following, but the romance was strong enough that there was very nice payoff when it comes to like some spicy scenes.
Oh my God, I loved it so much. So what did you rate this?
I rated it. Well, I think when I first read it, I rated it 4.5 stars, but honestly, it might be 5 stars. I don't know.
You know what? That's also hard to come by for you.
I
though.
know.
You don't give 5 stars lightly.
Not anymore. Yeah. And especially to fantasy romance. I've like not given a lot of 5 stars, which I think probably at the time that I read it the first time, maybe that's it.
Yeah.
The first time I think I gave it 4.5. And I'd say the second time I read it, I think I gave it 5.
Yeah. I love it. And I feel like we did it opposite because I listened to it first and then I read it, where you read it and then you listened to it second. And so I feel like we just pick up different things. Like for me, since I listened to it first, I was like, I get the gist of what's happening, but I'm not getting every single detail that's on the page.
Right. You like miss a sentence here or there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so reading it, I was like really catching up on those details and I was super excited about it. And I did. And I was very pumped because I was like, I already know the premise. Let's get the details.
Right.
Where I feel like you got the opposite. Now you just got to sit and enjoy it.
And that's exactly how it felt because I already kind of knew where the story was going to go. But I think I got to enjoy it for the vibes a little bit more on the second read by including the audio. And it's so funny because like we've talked about in other episodes, I literally until 2025 have like really not been an audiobook listener. And there's only been now this is maybe book 4 something that I've listened on audio.
Love.
But holy crap.
This was
I'm
so
so
good.
glad that I listened to you guys and like actually listened to part of it.
So if you guys have not read it and you're like, oh, I don't know about it, fucking listen to it.
Yeah.
Listen to Quicksilver.
Amazing.
It is so good.
I really need to look up who the audiobook narrators were for this because I would specifically find other audiobooks after that. Like
The guy
really
who
big fan.
does Kingfisher.
Oh. Wowza.
You could talk to me all day long. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Oh man.
Girl, I'm so pumped to talk about this.
Well, is there anything else spoiler free that you want to talk about here?
Not that I can think of. I'm so excited to just get into
Let's just talk about it.
All right, y'all. We have got spoilers for Quicksilver coming up. If you have not finished this book, come back later. Please read it and come back to us because we fucking loved it. So
not to mention Brimstone, the book 2 is coming out this fall 2025 and you got to be ready for it because you already know that that's going to be an absolute. Oh, I lied.
What's that?
I have one more spoiler-free thing that I want to ask about. This cover. I feel like the cover of Quicksilver is just a little controversial on Book Talk in that
A little.
is that how you imagine Kingfisher, or tell me how you imagine him that is maybe different from the art on the cover.
Well, okay, so the art on the cover, he looks 19. I'm 31. I don't like 19-year-olds. But here's the thing. Kingfisher is old. We're still spoiler free, okay, guys?
This is still spoiler free.
Still spoiler free. Kingfisher is not a young thing.
He's not a young man.
Not a young man. And he is not 19. That was one of the biggest things. And the tear that is coming out of his eye that is Quicksilver. I love that was the design for that, but that is not what was described in the book. And so I'm like, I'm having a really hard time with this. But I do this every single time I read a book because I have a really bad imagination. I look up fan art. And so I looked up fan art and then I found one that I liked and I said, yep, that's mine. And then I just kept that for the rest of the book.
Yeah. I know it's hard looking at it to be like, okay, I need to think of a different face. But I just want you to look at this picture at the same time that I say this. Tell me that doesn't kind of look like Edward Scissorhands. Because that's what I see.
Wait, that's
I look at
actually
this.
hysterical.
This like looks like Edward
Oh my
Scissorhands
gosh.
to me.
Edward Scissorhands.
And so that's the only thing I could see when I saw. It's a beautiful cover. I'm not saying I don't like it. I actually think it's has.
Oh, it's a gorgeous
beautiful.
cover. It is absolutely
It's
gorgeous,
just the
yes.
specific art when I think of the main male character here.
It just didn't do it for me.
It looks a little more like
Edward
or like Donnie
Scissorhands.
Darko kind of feel. I don't know. I don't know
Yes.
how to describe that, but it
That's
brings me
funny.
back to that age. Yeah, it was a little. I mean, I know he's broody, but it felt and it drove me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, now we'll start to finally get into, let's say, mild spoilers here. It drove me nuts that it was like a teardrop and not
Yeah,
like in his eye.
See, that's what I'm talking about though. Like the way it was described in the book was that the Quicksilver is in his eye.
Yeah.
It's not a tear. It was like actually embedded and like it was like worms in the eyes. How I pictured it.
Well, so I imagine it, and probably because I get to look at your beautiful eyes so often, and we'll put a close up of Shelby's eye here, but it reminds me of like, I think I imagine it as like your birthmark in your eye, but like
Yeah.
as Quicksilver that like maybe sometimes like does some
Like
little
moves.
things, but that it's like a little spot in your colored iris. That's what I
like me.
Yeah.
I love you.
I pictured your eyes, but with a little silver in it.
Can you tell we're in love with each other?
Cheers to that,
Cheers,
besties.
besties.
Okay, so now for real, like we said,
Now actual
spoilers.
Actual spoilers.
Actual spoilers for Quicksilver.
I love
Okay.
it. I love it.
Sorry, just had to talk about that first.
No, are you kidding me? I love it so much because honestly, this cover has been so controversial. Did you see she changed it?
I know. What do you think of the new one?
I don't. It's just words.
It's just plain.
I think because she got so much
I
hate
know, so
on
much
it, she
backlash.
was like, okay, I guess we'll just not
But
have
it-
any photo.
I know. I mean, to be fair, I'd say for the most part, I'm like a no faces on the cover kind of person. But
Yeah.
I
You don't
also
like the
felt
men
like
on the
this.
cover?
No, but I also felt like this was like distinctive. I don't know.
I agree. I agree.
liked
And I
it.
feel like if people would have just left it alone, I feel like the second cover would have been great and the third would have been.
I thought this second was going to be Saris, and I was kind of excited to
Yep.
have like a commissioned art photo of
Exactly.
Saris, but it's okay.
then it's
I mean,
not.
I'll just have to look up my own fan art.
It's fine. The fan art on this book is so cool.
Yeah, I don't know that I've looked up enough of it, to be honest.
I just do that
Yeah.
because again, I don't have a great imagination, and so I'm like, I have to get inspiration from somebody else, and then like once I get a still in my mind, I can
Right.
picture them doing whatever.
Okay.
But like, I am always the female main character.
I was gonna ask that. Do you picture yourself like as
Yes.
Saris as it's going?
Yep.
See, I feel like I picture it as a movie, like I'm a fly on a wall, like I'm like
I love
watching the
that.
scene happening. But it's so funny because most people that I talk to are like, "Oh yeah, I am the female." I'm like, no, I never feel like I'm like experiencing that because I feel like I'm watching it. I don't know how to describe it.
No, I love that. You are like the omnipotent like,
yeah,
person.
exactly.
Yep.
I'm
Where
God.
I am. I am controlling. I picture that as like puppets.
Yeah, the little puppet strings. Yes.
You're just watching it all happen. Where in like for me, I'm like I am the first person. That's why I like first person narrative so much.
I believe that too.
Because it feels like me. Like I am Sarah. I am.
I am.
Fisher
She said. Okay, well, we're in spoilers. Where do you want to start?
Oh, girl. I mean, let's start from the fucking beginning.
Yeah.
So this was so different from the first quarter to the rest of the book.
Yes.
I loved the imagery that started on the first page of this book.
Yes.
I was like, I'm in it. I see it. I pictured it like Egypt, like by the pyramids.
Same.
Like, loved it.
I had like a very like desert feel to
Yes.
that also, especially because of obviously the lack of water.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, it's funny that you say Egypt feel because obviously it's not pyramids, but like think of how the pyramids had like the giant bricks, I
Yes,
guess,
yeah.
right? That's like what I imagine
Me
those
too.
walls between all of the like districts or whatever
100%.
was like that.
Yep.
And so it kind of gave me like, did you ever watch or play people like Assassin's Creed? Is that what it's called, that video
No,
game?
but I know what you're talking about.
Like, have you ever watched like any
Yes.
whatever, anything from that? That's kind of like that was the
Uh-huh.
vibe that I got, was like Assassin's Creed of like they're running along the
Yes.
like really tall walls in between, and it's like you got the thing covering up from the
Yes.
dust on your mouth. And
100% that is what I pictured. 100%.
And I felt the same way. I loved that honestly, we get 2 worlds built in this book, and I didn't feel like either of them were overdone or overly descriptive.
100%.
It was like the perfect amount right from the beginning of what she described, the like franticness of looking for water, or like how concerned Sarah is about like her brother having water and their water rations and stuff. I feel like just that alone made me like really set the tone for what that world was. And I was like immediately immersed into it.
100%. Literally same. And like there was so much urgency with like her getting back to the house and her trying to find water and her rationing the water and her like being so worried about her brother when he's like throwing away and gambling away all these things. Like, yes, just from the main character's point of view, you get this sense of the whole world. And I feel like it was done so well that I'm like, okay, I'm immersed immediately.
Well, and especially that little like teaser that we get right after she steals the gauntlet from the guard, and we imagine her wearing this like metal hand. Yeah, this like kind of reminded me of like Avengers.
Me too. That was 100%.
That was what I imagined. Was
That's
like
what I pictured.
But so I imagine her wearing this big gauntlet, you know, and she's like trying to scale the wall, and you know she like uses this to dig in. And she clearly makes the metal, you know, change like or move or do something a little bit. And so we get just that little teaser.
Like, oh, I'm not supposed to do that.
Right. Before we even get into the story. And so it, like as a reader, you already have this click of like, okay, I'm supposed to watch out for this. There's like clearly something that she can do that others don't know about, that she's not supposed to do. And it set the tone so quickly that then you're like so curious to know
what is it?
Yeah, what she's doing, because then you realize she doesn't even really get what she's doing. She doesn't
know. Exactly.
Which makes it even better, because I love when you get to learn with the main character of like how their skills work. But like that scene as she's running away from the guards, or like as her brother is being a little shit, and God, she's like kind of trying to stand up for him, and he's like, no, it was me. She's like, just shut the fuck up.
She's like, get the, like that pissed me the fuck off.
I know.
But 100%, like even when she goes back to like the house they've been living in, and she's living in like a forge basically, but it like in the human world, so it's not actually a forge. And it's like a blacksmith's house.
Yeah.
And he's like, he doesn't know what she can really do. Like nobody, she's the only one that can really like feel that she can like have these vibrations with the different metals, but she doesn't know the extent of it. I love that you pointed that out, because that was why I was like, oh wow, I'm so immersed in this. Like, what can she do? What is this world? This is so different than anything. And like, where is this going to go? And I did not see it coming.
Right. And I really liked it too, because while there are plenty of books that do the like, fae male steals a woman, a human woman, into the fae realm or whatever, the way that it was done, because of the way that was set up, didn't feel overdone. Like it felt fresh, which was really cool. And her personality, once she gets into the fae realm, I also felt like was unique, because you get plenty that are like, I'm absolutely going to refuse. I refuse to eat any food that you're taking, whatever. And she's kind of like, yeah, okay, I'll take that. But that doesn't mean I'm not trying to get home. Like,
I know, she's
I'm going to enjoy this.
I'll make your deals.
So I don't know. I thought she was cool.
I really loved her as a main character. She was one of the ones that I was like absolutely rooting for from the beginning. Like, she's funny. She's witty. She's badass, but she's not going to deny that she's got faults. Right. And so she's going to be like, yeah, I don't know how to do this, or I don't know how to do that. I'm going to try and work at it, but I'm not perfect. And I feel like sometimes in these worlds, we get these characters that they're like, well, I've mastered the element. And then you realize they haven't. Right. Where she was like, I'm just going to keep working. And then I love it. Like, spoiler on for later on in the book, when she's like, oh man, I thought I got everything in that bond that we made, and I realized I was wrong. And she's like, fuck, next time I have to be better. Right. And I love that peace of mind.
With the language. And I think that's one thing that's fun about fantasy, is even though they're all different worlds, because people are like building off of the same lore, the things of like the tricky wording with the fae and stuff like that. Like, I kind of like that can be consistent between worlds, because it does make it easier to like jump in and
like, I already know. It's like a secret we're already in on.
Right? Exactly. That's actually a really good way to put that. I love that.
I love it. So while she's first in this human realm still, she meets Carrion. I was like, we have to introduce Carrion like very early on.
I fucking love him. It's so funny
too.
because obviously the first time you meet him, you're like, wow, what a douchebag. I hate him. But like,
That's not what I thought.
Oh.
I was like, oh, are you my type?
Toxic.
Toxic fucking men.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
I was like, wait, but I kind of like him.
Oh, I thought that he was going to be really annoying from the beginning, literally up until after he came through the portal, and even right at the beginning of that. And then very shortly after he came through, I was like, oh no, wait, you're hilarious. Like,
He's so funny. See,
might
I
be
thought
my
he was
favorite.
funny from the beginning. When he
so funny.
I was dying laughing. So like obviously, so what happens is basically Saris is like, oh my God, I have to go save my brother. And she has this,
because he's been gambling away his money, and so he's fucking broke up, beat up again.
Fuck the brother.
Yeah, fuck the brother.
Literally.
Not literally.
Worse. No, not literally.
Not literally.
Yeah, fuck the brother. No. Have you seen those TikToks where it's like, fuck him? Yeah, fuck him. No. Not like that. No. We do not like him. We do not like the brother. Hayden. He actually just does not get a name though.
No.
So when she was like, oh, he's been gambling away, like I have to go save him, like, oh, whatever. And so she goes into I pictured it like a casino.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that.
And so she like walks in and she walks straight up to Karen, but she had given her brother the bag with the gauntlet in it. And so Karen is like, well, I'll hear you out if you give me like a drink. And he's like, you got a drink.
It's like 5 shots. It's like, yes, what I imagine it.
It was like a whole glass of whiskey. And I was like, oh, I'd be fucked up. Like, he's like, you can have one drink and sit and talk to me. And I was like, oh, you want her to sit and talk to you?
Oh my God. I mean, the sassiness was definitely funny. And I think
I thought it was funny.
Now that I reflect back on it after having read the book, I think it's funnier. But in the moment, I was like, God, you're such a brat.
I know. We're like, because I listened to it and then when I was reading it, I was like, I was like, you just want to talk to her, huh? And then I loved that during that, she was like, it was one time. And she was so mad at herself for sleeping with him.
Yes.
She's like, God forbid a woman has needs.
Well, and that's the thing I thought was so funny about their relationship from the start is that she was like, well, I was only going to sleep with him to like prove him wrong. He was so bad. But like, actually, fuck yeah, dude. Like,
she's like, I scream your name for miles.
That's, I think, what made it so great is like, he's kind of cocky and annoying, but it's apparently deserved because he's really that good. And we're like, all right, man, you know,
can't be mad.
Gotta give you your props, I guess.
Credit where credit is due.
Oh man,
and she was so mad at herself for it,
she was,
which was so funny. So she ends up like having this drink with him, right? And he's like, so anyway, people are talking about this like gauntlet that has been passed around through the city. Would you happen to know anything about that? And she's like, if it was me. And he's like, yeah, you need to get the shit out of my city right now.
He's like, oh, well, if it was in this city, it should be moved to this location. As there's like heavy winking.
Yep. He's like, not here. Move it. Get it out of here.
He's like, I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
It better be gone.
And she's like, okay. And then, of course, she walks outside. Hayden's like, I've got it on my hand.
Fuck Hayden.
Fuck him,
dude. Let's just talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
Did he ever have any redemption for you?
No.
Didn't for me either.
Not at all. He like didn't even come back.
Right? She's like so concerned about him for so long. And I mean, then he is kind of doing fine because he's been hidden somewhere else, right? But I'm like, fuck him. I'm like, he never did anything for you. He was never a good sibling back to you. You were constantly taking care of him. And he was old enough that it wasn't a 9-year-old little boy that you need to take care of. He was an adult.
Like 20s.
He was making an adult decisions. And at a certain point, you need to cut away toxic family. And that's what Hayden felt like to me.
100%. It just felt like, the sibling who's just like latching on because like you'll keep him through. And you know what pissed me off? So like leading right into that. So basically when she was like, oh yeah, it was me. I did it. She's like, not lying, like I actually did take it.
She's like, yeah.
And he goes, it was me. Bro.
Nobody believes that.
Cheers. Did I spill?
You're good. Don't worry about it.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, she says.
No.
No, you're good. I don't even think you did.
Okay, good.
I think it was
but it looked like it was going to slosh.
Yeah, it was a good little slosh. It's okay. It was excitement.
Yeah, it was. Because fuck that brother.
Yeah. Not literally.
Not literally. But fuck the brother.
Also, I'm sorry, guys. This is a very adult language heavy episode, so.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, no, we're in.
That's okay.
Not that we don't usually have adult
We usually use adult language, but I'm just catching myself and being perhaps heavier handed with that today.
I've also been like, have you heard of Leo Skeppy?
No.
Cool. I will show you lots of videos of him later tonight. Leo Skeppy is like my new spirit animal.
Okay.
You're gonna love it.
Okay.
It's a Pharaoh Girl summer, honey.
Love that. Okay. Cheers to that. Again.
But no sloshing.
That was slightly more in check.
Slightly.
Okay.
Slightly. Anyway, so fuck Hayden. So I loved the scene though. So like when she gets captured and she's in like the dungeon or whatever, and the guard that is like coming after her, he's like, oh, you have to scream. Like you have to give her the sound.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I know. Well, and it's like, it's so hard too, because in that moment, like Saris feels so defeated and you can tell the guard is really trying not to be a dick as much as possible. Like he's like, you just got to give her one good scream. He's like, I'll make this as fast as I can. Like, I'm not going to try and drag this out. Like I'm not, like, you just got to give her something and then we can let this be over with. And you don't have to suffer for a long time.
Yeah. She's like, I'm not doing that.
Right. But then when she starts to melt the sword. Tell me
that's
how
where
you
it
felt.
got interesting. I was like, I had to read it a couple of times because I was like, what is actually happening here? Like, what's happening in the scene? She is melting the sword that is literally inside of her. And he's like, what the fuck is happening? And then she like plunges it into him. And then she grabs like the old sword. You know what I pictured it? It's like the caliber sword where you like have to like, it's like the slight touch that gets it out and you can't like pull it out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
That's what I pictured it as. And she has the magic touch. And so she's able to like get it. But when we get to the scene where she like grabs the sword and like, to me it was like a lever. She like pulls it out in a lever and then Kingfisher comes out.
Grows out of the pool of Quicksilver. I kind of had the same thing. It was very much like a literally growing out of the pool of Quicksilver. And the scene when it's melting onto the guard too. I was imagining, I feel like I've seen things in movies before where you see them like trying to shake off
and they can't,
like the melted and they like literally can't shake it off. And I was like imagining his face as he's like trying to get rid of this stuff that's like growing onto him. And she's subtly controlling and not even realizing. And then this random guy just grows out of the metal and you're like,
You're
well,
like,
you're hot.
Well, and I loved it too. So we've talked about for the ACOTAR series, this is not a spoiler, but there is one specific scene that I talk about literally all the time where it's like, bring the lion out. Bring the lion out. And Kingfisher is coming out of the Quicksilver. And I do picture him like in this position in the cover.
That face
where he's
of like the slightly downturned.
Yeah. He's like coming out. And I picture he's like, what the fuck's going on here, guys? And she's like, doesn't know what's happening.
She's like basically dead at this point.
Yes.
I mean, she's been stabbed
Yep.
thoroughly. I mean, she's like bleeding out, basically dead before he's coming up. So she's delirious as this is happening.
And she says, that is death incarnate. Yes, honey, give me some of that. Immediately, I was like...
Immediately, yes.
We're not giddy at all, okay?
Oh, man.
I love it. Immediately, I was in love with him. If I picture my perfect man, I think it would be Kingfisher. He's got the dark hair. For me?
No, I mean, I even agree for myself. It's like one of the first times that we, I think, agree on the same one.
We do not have the same taste at all.
Do not have the same taste, but cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, he's like the perfect amount of broody but intrigued, but
and
like
funny.
Also, he's funny. He's just the right amount of feral. So maybe let's talk about him now. They've come back through the portal. She's basically dead, healing for a while.
He gives her like the necklace.
Yeah, so that the necklace is like kind of keeping her sane from the Quicksilver. And he's feral.
So he's
literally.
Yeah.
And so we come forward, and after she's like a little bit healed and she's in front of the king, she's like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh, she had already met the sister at this point, too.
Right. Well,
she
the sister had been watching over her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Ren and some other people, too, I think have been sort of around. But when she's finally like being presented to the king and Kingfisher comes back around, she's like, wait, I think I know you.
Yeah. And they were calling him the dog.
Yeah.
And they were like, how did he come back? And blah, blah, blah. Like, he's been banished for 100 years or whatever.
And she's like, he's just as hot as the first time I saw him.
Literally. She was like, but damn, he fine.
I love that from day one, she really is like, oh, okay, he might be a piece of work, but
he's fucking.
I'd hit that.
I'd hit that. 10 out of 10 would recommend. I do love that though. And not only that though, like while the king was like, he's a dog, get him out of here. And she's like, but no, there's so much more that we don't know about him. And don't do that.
Yeah, it was cool. And it's funny because the amount of feral that he was in that throne room just added to how hot he was for whatever reason.
100%.
And especially once he then, gets the necklace back and like after Ren is kind of actually able to put it onto him because he's like trying to finagle it back onto him. And then he calms down a little and he's like, yeah, I'm a person again.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, okay. So now you're just toxic hot, not like crazy hot.
I love it. Okay, but he can be crazy hot too.
Yep.
Like that's totally fine. Which brings me to the point. So like, okay, so he's like introduced to the king and he's like, what do you have to offer me? And she's like, oh yeah. They're like, she's an alchemist. And they're like, what the fuck is that?
Oh, well, they didn't know that specifically. They said that they knew that she woke the Quicksilver.
Yes.
So they didn't really know what all was going on yet.
She did something with it.
But like the Quicksilver pools that they had traveled between before had been closed. She gave the
green light to the Quicksilver pools.
Correct. It's a good way to put it.
Because they didn't know yet what it was.
Right.
But they had asked her later on, they were like in the forges and they're like, have you ever been able to do this before? And she's like, well, yeah, I like can feel different metals and stuff. And they're like, yeah, that's not normal. You shouldn't be able to do that.
Which I loved also.
Oh, I loved it too. She's like, oh, really?
She's like, I didn't know that was a big of a deal, I guess.
I know. They're like, we'll do this. The first time that Kingfisher is like, gives her the Quicksilver and it's like
in her
talking
hand.
to her.
And it's like burning her hand.
And more. And she's like, wow, I can't do it.
She's like, get this shit out of here.
Shit out of my hand. And then he's like, oh yeah. Oh, what did it say to you? And he like, he like gets all weird about it. But here's what I loved about that scene. So he like puts it in her hand and it's screaming at her and she's like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. He like is right behind her like, you got
I know.
You got this, girl. Keep going. Atta girl.
It really is a tough love situation, but I love that he pushes her that hard in that because he's like, well, you're fine. He's like, either this is going to work or it's not. But if it's not going to work, then you're not of any use to me. So
he's like, bye.
Yeah.
Yeah. But clearly it did work.
Right.
I was also laughing because during that whole scene when she's like cleaning up the forge and she's like, oh God, it's taking forever. This fucking sucks. Somebody else walks in and he captures the entire place in darkness and fucking cleans the entire thing.
After they've been cleaning all day.
Like the entire day. And so she like opens her eyes and she goes, motherfucker. Like, God damn it.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I loved Sarah so much as a character because it felt so real, like her reactions toward things. Because
it really did.
Like even her being like, God, you're a piece of work, but damn, you're hot. Like that type of thing was just so relatable.
It really was. It's like, I really wish I didn't like you.
Oh my God. Okay.
I love it so much.
I gotta talk about our little favorite furry friend though. The fox.
Oh my God, that was so precious.
I thought that was so funny again to like in such a small scene, so distinctly show Sarah's and Kingfisher's personalities.
100%.
And her being like, no, I'm going to help. Like, I don't know.
He's
like,
it's an animal. Get
I
away
was
from
scared
it.
of it at first, but like, it's okay. Don't hurt it. Yeah. And it like, you know, runs under her skirts and like bites her and shit. And she's like, just let go of me, please.
It's my friend.
And he's like, oh yeah, well, you asked for this. You wanted to help the strange animal here. She's like, yes, I did,
I guess. And then it becomes like her dog.
It was so sweet. Except for I got so sad the moment when she tries to go down the Quicksilver pool by herself when she like steals the ring after we'll get back to how she stole the ring. But but after she had done that and she like goes through all the stairs down to like get down to where the Quicksilver pool is. Yeah. And so when Onyx is in there though, he's just, I don't know, they're dynamic. Cracks me up. But when he is coming down to the pool of Quicksilver that's like way below ground and she gets there and he's, you know, like being all squirmy and stuff. So she opens up the bag and he's like, I'm out, dude. He's like, I am not going.
I'm not doing
anywhere near here. He's like, no way. He's like, you're cool, but like not that cool.
Literally. He's like, and adios.
Peace.
I'm not getting in that.
Did you think she was going to get further than that in that scene?
Yeah. For sure.
You thought she was going to get through the pool of Quicksilver?
Yeah, I did. I thought that was going to be her chance to get back. And then she wouldn't realize. But then again, that would have been a very quick ending to the book. So, but Kingfisher would have gone after her, right? Or he was already gone. So she would have gone after.
No, he was behind her. Remember, he like pulled her back so she didn't go through the pool in that first scene.
Oh yeah, because there were a couple scenes.
Right. So but should we talk about how she got the ring in the first place?
I think it'd be funnier. So let's start with, there was a conversation that was had in the forge where like they were talking to the actual like silversmith or whatever he was. And they were talking about Kingfisher's package. And she's like, what? Like it's small? Or like you wouldn't even need to be bragging about it. And he was like, honey, when you... He's like, I'll make you scream. That's what I was going to
say. He's like, I'll make you scream my name.
Yes.
Like, echo off the walls or something like that.
Because he had like gotten hard or something. And she was like, oh shit.
I know.
He not lying.
Well, and that's the thing is she's like, okay, well, that's avoiding the question. Because she like asked him a direct question about how big it was.
And he couldn't answer it.
Well, and he didn't answer it. He just answered it with that. He's like, big enough to make you scream or something. And she's like, oh, all men just avoid it like that. Like, I don't believe you. Like and then when she finally sees it, she's like, well,
oh shit.
I guess you weren't lying.
All right. He goes, yeah, I couldn't directly tell you. I had to skirt around the fact. Skirt. Okay, so then it makes it even funnier. So like she's like, oh, we're at the Quicksilver and I need a relic so that I can go through the Quicksilver.
But it was before that, right? Because it was when they were still in the forge. This like the very first time like anything romantic physical happens is they're like in the forge and it's after one of the times when they've been playing with the Quicksilver together and I don't know, whatever. But I'm like, he can, you know, smell that she's interested. And he's like, well, fine. I won't touch back. He's like, my hands are behind my back, honey. Do what you want to do. And so she comes up and she's like sitting on his lap and she's kissing him. And doing it's all great. And wiggling. And in that moment, we're like, oh, she's having a good time, whatever. She walks away and she's like, like what I got.
She like, stole this ring.
You sneaky little girl. Like, I love that.
I love
Turn the
that I did
eye.
not see it while it was happening.
Same.
I was like, oh my God, this is so fun because it was so hot. It was so hot.
I was so distracted by how hot it was. I didn't even think about the fact that she might be trying to steal something from him.
Same. I was like, sex. Fuck right now. But they were literally just making out. But I was like, you could tell he was restraining himself. Yes. And he was like, oh my God, I have to like be really
her
good.
Too, but
her
yes.
Too. Uh-huh.
Oh my God, it was so funny.
She walks away, she's like, motherfucker.
Right. I know. But then it's so funny because there's a little bit of her. So she's like, oh, I didn't mean to be literally grinding on you. But, well, mission accomplished, I guess.
Yeah, she got it. She got the ring. But the funniest part about it all was he was like, bitch, that ring doesn't even work.
I know. That's the part that was amazing. He like pulls her back from that pool of Quicksilver and he's like, what did you think that was gonna do? You were gonna be gone forever.
Yes.
Like, why are you wasting this?
Literally. He's like, that's not gonna bring you back. It's not going to do anything. It's a fake relic.
She's like, well, you said it was something. He's like, no, do you see my eye?
I know, it's in my eye. He's like, what do you think this chain was for? Oh my God.
All of a sudden, I feel like we got gangster Kingfisher over here. Look at my ring, look at my chain.
He's like all decked out.
You see this ring?
You see this ring? You see this chain? Wait, I have not pictured him like that until this very second. But like, he was very decked out.
He's gangster. Kingfisher's a gangster.
He is a gangster, though. I'm like,
oh my God,
I love it. So then we have this like entire journey from him. They like move from one city to the next from like his homeland, and now they're like in his city where he like grew up.
Yeah, they go from like the king's castle basically, and there's like a little bit of movement on horse for like a while, which also always love a shared horse scene. One horse scene is like, that's one of my top tropes for sure. Loved that. Loved it as much as in this one as I have in other books. But anyway, so they do this, and then they also travel through the portal to like get the rest of the way towards where they're going. Right?
She was like, "Oh, this is taking too long.
Yep.
we gotta go."
Yep.
And she's like, "Oh my God."
She's like, "What?"
They go through the portal, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we don't know how this is gonna affect you. Good luck. Bye." And they push her through.
They're like, the first time sucks. You'll be okay.
Yeah. Goodbye. And she's like,
oh my God.
So when they make the deal, they're in the next town. Right?
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, they make the deal, and this is the one that she words badly, and
she's like, "Oh, I got this. I'm gonna reword it, so I'm like actually getting the best deal out of it." She still does not.
Dude, I was dying though when he brings back Carrie, and he's like, "Well, he smelled like you. Why the fuck does he smell like you?" I was laughing, clapping my hands like quietly to myself. I'm like, this is exactly what I wanted.
Me too. I was laughing so fucking hard when he was like, "Oh, well, he said he was your brother and like he smells like you." And she's like, "Huh?" And she like doesn't say anything, and he's passed the fuck out, and she's like, "Oh God." And I don't think she realizes it at first. But she's like, "Why did you smell him on me?" And then like a couple minutes go by, and she's like, "Oh shit.
Right, and then Kingfisher sends Carrie in to like go do all these very thorough baths, and he's like, "Oh yeah, they were into me. They were very thorough, touching everywhere." And she's like, "Oh God."
The funniest part about rereading it though is that like, so they give him the bath with like the earth fairies, and they're like all up and down it, and they gave him all these like little like herbs and stuff to put on it to like completely erase the smell. And it's not until way later in the book that any of them realize why he did that.
Oh, I didn't realize
hilarious
that,
because he was like talking about how he got these baths from like the earth fairies, and then Kingfisher like doesn't say anything about it. He never says anything about it.
Oh, we just kind of figure it out.
We just figure it out because Carrion and Saris are having a conversation, and he goes, "Yeah, when they gave me this like earth," and she like clicks and she goes, "Oh my God, that's why he was so weird. You motherfucker!" She like gets all mad at him, and he's like, "What?" And she's like, I was the only person. He's like, "Well, yeah. Like, I wasn't just fucking around." He's like, "You were, yeah." And that was the funniest thing to me.
Well, and it's funny too then when you think about it on the flip side of like after her and Kingfisher fuck for the first time, and he's walking through the campsite back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and she's like not thinking anything of it. But then you think of how much they had to watch Carrie and get rid of that set, and you're like, everybody around here,
everybody knows
that wasn't the sounds of the dying wash out, whatever. Cries of pleasure.
Cries of pleasure. Yes. Well, the funniest part. Okay,
you know.
we're jumping to the spicy part. So like, okay, the first time that they fuck. Yes, Lord. Oh my God. I was like, do I need to take a pause or? I loved it. The first time I listened to it, I was in the car and I was like, turn it up. I was like, we like this. But then, so like Kingfisher disappears in the morning, and then the servant was like, I heard activity happening, and I want to make sure you're okay. And she's like, I'm fine. She's got a towel wrapped around her. I'm fine. And he's like, okay, well, do you need some sustenance or
he's like, here's some apple juice.
Yeah, he's like, here, you need to replenish your sugars.
Right. And it's not even the next night. It's literally like he puts on his pants right when he's done and it dips out. Yeah. And she's like, okay, well, bye. All right.
So it's like literally right afterwards. Yeah. And she's like, wow, that was the best sex I've ever had in my entire life. And then she's like, wow, I am ravaged. And then here comes the servant. And he's like, are you okay? He goes, are you okay? I heard sounds of something. We were moving furniture.
I was about to say that. Oh my god.
We were moving furniture.
Like, he goes, and then we moved it back?
Yeah. Yeah, looks the same as when I saw it before. But okay. And then they just smell it on her like,
right. Like they all know what's up. And this is because they've already seen her picking a specific spot at the table anyways.
Oh my god. Their planned dinners.
Dying.
That was so cute.
He's like trying to make nice, and she's like, why are you being like this? Why are you being weird? And he's like, I'm being nice. I'm making conversation and being nice. She's like, why are you being weird?
Yeah, you're being weird. Well, I loved it. So initially when they like had dinner, they were at like a long table, and he was like amplifying his voice, and she goes, no,
right up next to him.
She like moves up next to him, and I just picture like tickling the back of the ear.
Right.
And I'm like,
well, and then I imagine like Beauty and the Beast, you know, like one of those big tables
yes,
like that.
Yes, me too.
Sitting at the end, but then all of the servants come in and see her where she's sitting there like, ah! Why is she there?
Who is that? Where'd she come from?
Well, no, I think it was because that was like the spot for the wife or whatever, right? And so they were like, why is she sitting there?
And she like moves it right next to him. She's like, no, we're not doing that. I will sit right next to you. We do not need to yell at each other.
I loved how cute that was, where like he knew what that meant, but she didn't. And she just kept doing it over and over and over again. And everybody else was like, not going to tell her.
I know. Like she was doing all this wifey shit and didn't even know she was doing it. She was being a whole ass wife.
Whole ass
Loved it. I love how giddy we are over Sarah's and Kingfisher.
I love them as a couple. I
love them so much. That was so fun. So I feel like, okay, so honestly, in the middle of this book, there was a lot of like stuff that just happened. And it was like, like there's a lot of like memes and gifs and stuff going around of Karen holding a plant. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
It's like after a battle, somebody just hands it to him. He's like, okay, I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
I'll take care of it.
Yeah, I do feel like in the middle there were, and that was I think why I had originally given it 4.5 when I read it the first time, is because after they're doing the like, okay, she's kind of accepted that she's going to help them, and he's kind of not giving her direct commands anymore, and there's a little bit of an understanding.
Yeah, the direct command.
I know.
You will stay in this bed.
Right. So there was, then after that, there was a little bit of a, like, what, I don't know. It was, you know, it's time like moves forward. It's the training scene kind of
She's
feel.
Basically like trying to train with the Quicksilver, and like he makes her find it every single time, which is actually really funny. He's like, oh, it's hidden. You have to go find it. Good luck. And then she has to go find it, and then she has to work with it, and it doesn't work. Like she's
with anything that she's doing.
Right. And I feel like that was a lot of like the middle half of the book.
Right.
So do we want to kind of jump to like where the action starts again?
Yeah, let's.
Oh, okay. So, well, we were kind of talking about when they like first have dinner, and she gets attacked by the vampire, and there were like a couple that like jump in, and they're like, oh, we're gonna attack you, whatever. She's like, what the fuck are these things? Like, oh my god, I didn't know this existed, and it was like myth in her land, and she's like, I didn't realize these were real, and Kingfisher like chops off their heads and blah blah blah. So now she's like, well, shit, there's a whole new enemy. Like, the king is not the enemy. There's also these vampires that are enemies. And she's like, well, what the fuck do we do? And he's like, oh, yeah, by the way, there's this whole other lore of things that are happening, but I can't actually tell you about it.
Right. Well, and he doesn't even say that. It's like one of those heavy stare, like you're asking the right question.
Keep asking more.
Ask more. Yeah.
Ask different questions. But she's like, huh? I don't understand.
But she like slowly, it comes together too, because she like starts putting things together that like Ren said, or that Kingfisher said, and she's like, oh, it's not a you don't want. It's like you literally can't tell me. She's like, oh shit. And he's like, stop asking questions.
Stop asking. Yeah,
like,
I can't tell you. Because he like gets like,
yeah, he gets all choked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then we get to like the big fight scene where they're like, oh, something's happening in the village. And then we walk up and you see that the walkers, like the vampires, are like trying to get across the ice.
Yeah, the frozen river that's like separating their two lands.
Mm-hmm. And so they're like, well, what do we do? And everybody's like, oh my God, what do we do? What do we do? And everybody's like, oh, wait for Kingfisher. He's got it. And she's like, no, we can't do that. Like, we have to do something. And he goes, poof, and they're gone. Like,
well,
poof.
but before he does his poof, I felt like that scene where they're all, because there's a bunch of people that are trying to crack the ice with these huge hammers and stuff. And it was kind of like the ice that I was picturing was like Game of Thrones, that like in the last season, right, where there's like the things on the other side, right? So I'm imagining just this like crowd of vicious like feral things on the other side and like a smaller group on this side, and I'm just imagining like these giant axes that they're like trying to crack the ice, and it's just like making little tiny cracks like to try and make it on there,
running
right, until all of a sudden Kingfisher gets there, and then it's like, oh, no big deal. He's just like everybody else is literally swinging full speed, like going as hard as they can. And then Kingfisher goes up and he's like, oh, oops. Did you need that done? Okay, well,
sorry,
all gone.
I was busy fucking.
Yeah.
We always drink red wine because it's like blood themed.
Right.
That's how you know.
This is red wine for the first time that Kingfisher bit Cerys' throat.
Wait, we have to talk about that. We might be like 75% of the way through the book, but like we have so much more to talk about. So we're going to pause.
And we're going to come back next week
for a part 2
and talk all about the end of the book, the crazy scenes with Malcolm, everything we find out about Cerys,
more spicy scenes,
and what we think might happen in Brimstone. So come back next week.
We cannot wait. See you guys.
Thanks.